Welcome to the Anglo-Italian pod, and it is, of course, time for the latest in our Euro 2024 previews. This time, after a long break, we're joined by friend of the show, Michael Statham from @Eredivisie. Mike, mate, how are we doing to talk all things Netherlands? You good?
Oh yeah, really good. Thanks. We're preparing as well over at Football Anya, where we do Dutch football in the English language, and we're really excited for the Euros. Of course, I think we're getting to that territory of like the heady. We think we could win this kind of territory, even though really we know we're not one of the favourites.
Well, this is the best bit, right? The optimism's there.
Yeah.
Your dreams haven't been shattered yet. This is the best bit, I suppose. Um, so with the Netherlands, you can't keep a good man down. Ronald Koeman is back. Lots has happened in Dutch football since last time we spoke post pre-World Cup. Of course, I think the Netherlands did better than many people expected in that World Cup, obviously losing to the eventual champions. How have the Dutch national team in general been post World Cup? Has it been positive, negative?
A bit of a mix. So Koeman took over from Van Gaal after the World Cup. It was like a planned transition. Even though many wanted to keep hold of Van Gaal,
Mm-hmm.
he was only there for like that job to simply get them to the World Cup and then to compete there. Just to sort of start with the World Cup, like the 5-3-2 that Van Gaal brought in and kept, if you like, he insisted that it was because of the players he had at his disposal. The Netherlands have got a stack with centre backs and really brilliant centre backs at that. After that, it becomes a bit more of an issue with not too many options to really add quality up in attack in particular. And then obviously Koeman coming in had that challenge of trying to get him to score goals. He changed formation to 4-3-3 and regretted it because the Netherlands were far too open then. He needs to rely upon the brilliant players he has in defence. So
Mm-hmm.
then he had some trouble trying to qualify for the Euros. In the end, it was not an issue. They beat their closest competitors home and away. They were Greece and the Republic of Ireland. But there were some tight games. But at the end of the day, the Dutch won them. And actually, that's when they do really well. Those tighter games, they can rely upon their defence to see them through. And they have still got some really good players that can score goals. So I think that's how they go and attack this Euros now. They can try and edge their way for the group stage. They're many people's favourites to finish second in that group
Mm-hmm.
behind France. Should be able to beat Austria and Poland. I suppose if you can't beat those kind of teams, then how can you go far in this
Mm-hmm.
tournament? But then after that, it becomes a bit of an issue, of course. Getting to like the quarterfinal, they're predicted to meet Portugal. And then it gets a bit more sticky, of course. Then you got Portugal, maybe Germany in the semis, then of course the final. So it gets difficult from there. But like I said, I'm in that optimism territory now, where even though Koeman's in charge and he's had many critics, he has quietened some of those critics up until his Euro squad selection. And I think people after that have started to doubt him again. And I said, well, hopefully we get knocked out in the group stage and we can be done with Koeman again. It's like, oh, brilliant. Here we are again.
Well, this is the perfect time, I suppose, to talk about Ronald Koeman. Now, obviously, he's a manager that I have many opinions about. I think lots of people are kind of confused as to what his philosophy is, how successful he's
Yeah.
been. Like, how do you expect him to try and take this tournament on? You said that, like, the focus has to be to try and score goals, right? The defense is fairly solid. Do you trust him to be able or to be willing to try and take the bull by the horns with this tournament?
Yeah, because he's toying between a 5-3-2 and a 4-3-3 again, even though.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, this is massive in the Netherlands. They obsess over the formation, but actually, there's quite a lot to this. You think, oh, it's just an extra defender in there. It's the whole way of the Netherlands play. Playing
Mm-hmm.
a 4-3-3 it does make it more open, but they are creating more chances. Or do you rely upon a 5-3-2? But then actually, there are one or two players missing to really make that formation sing.
Mm-hmm.
The squad selection for the Euros has just been announced, the final selection, and it appears as though the 4-3-3 could be about to happen again as Ian Martin was dropped from the squad and he is a left wing back.
Mm-hmm.
Koeman has now stated that he has three options for left back. They are Mickey van der Ven, Natanake, who both, by the way, are centre backs that are left footed. So playing at left back is
Yeah.
fine, but left wing back, different matter. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't like either of those players at left wing back because I have both played there, not played very well. But they're both brilliant centre backs. The third option is Daley Blind, who many people who support the Netherlands can't stand seeing in an orange shirt. That is despite him winning La Liga with Girona and just really impressing and being a standout player in that side. So albeit a centre back, but he has played left wing back in the past and been exposed horrendously.
Mm-hmm.
But I think even at left back, he'll be a liability. And that's when I wonder, actually, is Koeman now thinking about a 4-3-3 and playing Denzel Dumfries, who's been brilliant at right wing back as a right back, where he isn't as strong. But at least we'll get some more attacking players on the pitch. So Cody Gakpo, for example, thinks he's going to be playing on the left wing. That's how he's preparing for this tournament. That would suggest, again, that the 5 at the back isn't going to happen, as I don't play with wingers in that system. Yeah, much to get into, I suppose, with the playing selection. But when you ask about Koeman, he's toying between the 2 formations. I think he should be using both at the tournament, and I think he might, depending on what the fixture is, what the game is. And I've tried to reserve my doubts a little bit for Koeman. He did turn things around when they were looking difficult, and has made his position pretty secure for the time being. Of course, a poor Euros will see him go.
Well, let's move on to the squad, because as you said, it is quite an exciting squad and he does have some selection headaches. I wanted to start right at the back with the goalkeepers, really, because there's Verbruggen, there's Flecken, who I haven't really been impressed with it at Brentford, and then, of course, Bijlow, who has his injury issues, but had a fairly steady season from what I've kind of garnered. Who do you expect to get the number 1 shirt? It is a bit of a headache for Koeman, right?
Yeah, I expect Verbruggen to get it. I think he is the best talent there. Flecken, hasn't really impressed that much, and I'd be surprised, therefore, if it was put in. But it's a possibility still. Like you said, it is up for grabs. I don't think Justin Byler is going to get it. I think, despite having some good games finals and tipped to be the number 1 several times in the past, injuries have held him back, and therefore doesn't deserve it. Like, it's not his to come and just take now. I do think that Verbruggen is the best one there. And actually, when he's played for Netherlands, he hasn't been too bad. But it is up for debate, and there isn't that standout one choice. It would have been Byler had he not been for his injuries, though, for sure.
And then moving up front, I kind of a little bit underwhelmed by the striking options that the Netherlands have. Now, like, between Wout Weghorst is Wout Weghorst, he does a job, right? But from what I could see, Brian Brobby is kind of the most prolific striker in that squad, as in he has the best numbers this season. Who do you expect to be the main man up front? And if you said it in a 4-3-3, how does Koeman mesh all those attackers together?
Well, I think it will start with the midfield choice, depending whether he plays someone such as Tijani Reinders, who's typically number 8. I mean, Italian football fans will know about him. But playing as like a number 10, maybe, if he does that, then it wouldn't allow that extra attacker, if you like, as the number 10. But then that would impact on what he does up front. So it could mean that Xabi Simons plays as a number 10. I doubt it. I think he plays from the right. I think Cody Gakpo starts on the left. And Memphis Depay is in the middle. That's the most obvious choice. I don't see someone like Steven Bergwijn starting at all, given his poor form for Ajax. The fact he's even in the squad is a bit debatable. The one that I would love to see, and I keep dropping this, I see it in every podcast I've been on, is Brian Brobby. I really want to see him play. I want to see him start for the Netherlands. I think he's more likely to get some opportunities from the bench. If he can score a goal, maybe gets a start in a future game, and could really start to light up a tournament. Huge talent. So he struggled for a little while at Ajax. I think he's only one many people know about. He struggled at Ajax to begin with. He got a transfer to Leipzig, came back to Ajax, struggled again, couldn't hit the back of a barn door kind of striker, despite all of his potential. And when he was coming through the youth ranks, he was always playing in the years ahead of himself.
Wow.
That's probably because of his physicality, though. He is an absolute brute. And it was this season where he really started to light up. I think because Ajax actually started playing to his strengths despite their terrible league season. Using him as a target man, someone who hold the ball up, put balls into the box for him. He loves it. And he could just roll up defender and smash the ball into the net.
Nice.
Is that brilliant?
Yeah,
just
beautiful.
Seeing it.
I saw it was 18 goals and 10 assists in the division this year, which
despite finishing 5th. So
insane numbers. That's insane numbers. I'm pretty excited to see him. So beyond Brian Brobby, which is also a fun name to say, are there any other players that we should be looking out for in the Netherlands squad that maybe aren't the kind of, Van Dijks, etc.?
No, but I haven't mentioned De Jong yet, and everyone knows De Jong, I know, and some people are starting to think that he's overrated. I'm like, I wouldn't go that far. See him in a Netherlands shirt, and you'll soon change your minds. But him in midfield is going to be massive for the chances of the Netherlands. After that, Well, I was going to pick someone like Hartman, who's going to be the left back, but he got injured. Do you know? I don't know if there's anybody else I've put my hat on and say, yeah, that's the one. I think Robbie is that one that will come and surprise people if there is going to be one. I'd also love to see Xavi Simon start to light up in an orange shirt. He hasn't scored a goal in 13 caps yet. He's so desperate to score. I think a goal in this tournament would make all the difference for him. This is the thing, you see, that the Netherlands could really go both ways here, and it is just on moments. So, like, you know, if Robbie gets a goal, if Simmons gets a goal, confidence starts flowing because the togetherness of this team is there. I don't think they need a brilliant, masterful manager to see him through and get him through his tournament. And Koeman's all right. He has had some really good moments in his managerial career, as well as some low points. And I just think that he is also, he's so desperate to win this, just like all the players are. And I think that matters a lot in this kind of football. I think you can sometimes get some negative looking teams that end up winning the tournaments, and the Netherlands could be that kind of team, quite pragmatic, despite the fact you normally associate with always attacking players. And that's why I think they've got a good chance.
Nice. Well, let's talk about that then. And how far will the Netherlands go? So this kind of double-edged question, I suppose. How far do you think Netherlands would go, and what would count as a successful tournament? Like, what are people expecting?
I would really expect them to be going to the quarterfinals at least. And that is because of the run they should have on the way. They should be getting past Austria and Poland to finish second in the group at least. Could they surprise and top the group? I don't know. But it could give them a trickier run, actually, to the final if they do. So a last 16 matchup could mean someone like Ukraine. It could mean, I think it's Romania in that group as well. Sorry for my ignorance for not remembering. And then quarterfinal could be Portugal, most likely, as being like a group winner getting through. That's when it becomes a lot more interesting and down to, like, you know, it's 50-50 games. Who turns up on the day? Will it be like a Ronaldo show? You just don't know, do you? And that's when it gets into that territory of don't know. And then everyone else can start debating, can't they? And that gets that last 8 in those massive games. Who can make it through? I think the Netherlands could make it past Portugal, but I think a sort of semi-final against potentially Germany could be what chips them up and what sees them out. But at the same time, you've got Van Dijk in there. You've got these brilliant defenders and these tight games. That could be a nice sort of upper hand, if you like, to get them through. And then nicking a goal, winning 1-0 in these massive games. And then you through to a final, and you never know what happens in the final.
Well, that's it. Exactly. You're basically there. You're done. I love it. I think, and we've also seen that. I think one of my moments of the World Cup last time was the Wout Weghorst last minute free kick where the players were super like on it, like creative and really like willing to risk it. And I think hopefully we can see something like that again. And the idea of a Germany Netherlands semi-final in Germany is a pretty exciting prospect. I'll be honest. Just the absolute magnitude of that game, I think we kind of need to see that. But Mike, thanks. I think that's everything. Great as ever. When our viewers and listeners want to find you and they want to find out more about Dutch football, where can they find you?
So I'm Michael Statham. I'm at Eredivisie Mike on Twitter. I obsess about the league usually, but I do like the national team too. You can find what I do on Football at Anya. That's football, same in English, and then orange, but replace the G with a J. Football at Anya. We have a website which has lots of articles on reports and what have you. Every day for like the past 10 years or so, we've been doing that. It's like, you know, we aren't someone that's going to go away. We're also on YouTube. We do like player interviews, podcasts over on there, and also the platforms. You know, we're over on all other things to do. And yeah, we just do Dutch football in the English language. I say we're the best one, but we're the only one that does it. So,
well, there you go. You win. Beautiful. Well, thank you as ever, and I'm sure we'll be in touch during the tournament to get you to update us on how it's going. Thanks again. We'll see you later.
Cheers. Thank you.